Yes, judges, are you with me?
Yes, we can start.
Yes.
All right,
Go on,
may I
please.
begin?
Yes, yes.
Sometimes it's tremendously impact that one word can have on the human mind. Sometimes it's absurd as to how one word can start an impulsive chain of thoughts that only goes in one linear direction. Sometimes it's concerning how one word can impulsively spark an emotional narrative and narrow one's mind to other existing possibilities. Of course, the caveat here is that only very few words have these aforementioned abilities today. But, ladies and gentlemen, I think you'd all agree that nepotism is certainly one of these words. It's all the rage in today's day and age for a wide variety of reasons. However, what unfortunately seems to have happened is that the moment someone hears the word nepotism, people think of a phenomenon that is maybe a couple of decades old and that it is something that can be eradicated and uprooted out of our society via activism. What people don't realize, and what I'm here to affirm today, is our motion. That is, nepotism is a bedrock of social existence. First, to delve into a topic this complex, we need to be structured. So let's take a look at what nepotism actually means. While many different definitions of nepotism prevail, the one basic definition that can be derived from all is that nepotism is an act of favoring family, friends, or other people that you have a bond with over the rest. Nepotism invariably exists in our world, and it is present in an act as simple as a family member handing you the reins to a business they've established with their own hard work. The logic here would be that this family member in question has worked hard to establish and pass this business on to their kin in an attempt to increase their chances of prosperity in a tough world. Think about it. People around us, our loved ones, and the ones that care about us are always looking out for us, trying to do things like these, favoring us in an attempt to propel us forward to a better life in today's competitive world order. And the concept of society entirely predicates itself on caring about and favoring your loved ones over other people. This is not to say that you cannot care about the other people around you, but to say that your loved ones are your loved ones because you favor and care about them more than others. And isn't that what makes them special to us? What tends to happen, however, today is the conflation of the concept of nepotism with institutional nepotism. What institutional nepotism refers to is only one form of nepotism that prevails in the corporate industry, the entertainment slash film industry, and in some political chambers. It remains true that maybe this one facet of nepotism has proliferated rapidly in recent times, but it remains extremely ignorant to assume that this is the only form of nepotism and that hence nepotism as a whole is a recent occurrence which can be eradicated. Despite how we've now explored the deep rooted and inevitably evolutionary existence of nepotism, be it familial nepotism, institutional nepotism, or reciprocal nepotism, there still remains an argument left to be made. For anything to be a bedrock of social existence, it would imply that it is a fundamental base for social existence, and for this to be the case, it needs to have existed since time immemorial and not just be a recent phenomenon. To prove this point, allow me to exemplify with the age-old example of Eklavya and Guru Dronacharya. We all know that Eklavya was an extremely skilled archer seeking the mentorship of Guru Dronacharya, but was denied it because he had the misfortune of being born into a lower family. Eklavya, not losing hope, continued practicing with an idol of the Guru and became the skilled archer. But when word of his talent spread, the Guru asked for his thumb as Guru Dakshina, as this would favor Arjun from the Pandava family. Eklavya still continued persevering and then mastered archery with his fore and mid finger. An ever classic tale. But what do we take away from this? Our takeaway is that nepotism has invariably existed since time immemorial, and even in the absence of the technologically advanced and the predominantly capitalist world we live in today, it has been ever present. There are many other examples of nepotism historically too, be it in the vast Ottoman Empire, in the Roman Empire, in cases in Indian history, and even in the United States presidency, wherein George Bush essentially succeeded to the United States presidency because of the popularity of his father, George H.W. Bush. So we've now established how far-reaching and deep-rooted nepotism is, and also how it has always existed as a fundamental societal bedrock. The question, though, that might linger in your mind is that is nepotism good or is nepotism bad? The fact is that the answer to that question
You
is
have
an
2 minutes
intricate one.
left.
The perfect way to encapsulate the morality of nepotism would be with the example of the Japanese concept of yin yang, which is there is the good, there is the bad, there is the bad in the good, and there is the good in the bad. Nepotism, similarly, is a phenomenon that may oftentimes be perceived as bad and oftentimes as good. However, the debate today was not about whether it is good or bad, but rather, regardless of being good or bad, is it or is it not the bedrock of social existence? And today, I, as the affirmative speaker for this motion, has made a logical, philosophical, historical, and practical case for nepotism being a bedrock of social existence. With that, I move on to refute some of the arguments made by my worthy opponents. And we'll talk about the 5-person analogy, which was put forth by one of the speakers, saying that in a family of 5 people, let's say there's only 2 posts. And how, so the idea that nepotism is not the bedrock of existence because only 2 can get it and not all 5 of them. Well, the very fact that out of the 5, only out of the 5 are 2 being considered, again exemplifies how nepotism will invariably exist, because the fact remains that even though there is internal competition, those 5 are being looked at or because of the fact that they belong to that person's family and not to another outside family. The speaker spoke about how Kim Jong-un and his family are bad examples of nepotism and the bad that nepotism brings. But again, I just affirm that our motion today was not whether nepotism is good or nepotism is bad. It was whether it is the fundamental bedrock of society or not, right? And the even if we were to assume that nepotism is a bad concept, it is inevitably a bedrock of society because it has existed since time immemorial and it will invariably continue existing as long as society prevails. And there are many bad concepts that exist in society. There is struggle is not something that someone enjoys. Adversity is not something that
Your
someone,
time is up.
yeah, just 10 seconds. Adversity is not something that someone enjoys, yet these concepts can be completely minimized, but they cannot be uprooted, which explains how nepotism will exist. And the last speaker spoke about meritocracy by talking about Elon Musk, etc., and how that is prevalent. But despite having meritocracy, the very fact that nepotism still remains and will invariably exist as long as families do proves that nepotism is a bedrock of social existence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, 19A. 18B. 19A, I would request you to keep your video on.
All right, apologies. Am I visible?
Yes, you are. 18B, are you ready?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes. Ashwati, over to you.
Yes. Judges, are you with me? Hello? Simran, is there a technical problem?
I think so. Anagha ma'am and Rupa ma'am.
Yes. Anika ma'am has requested us to proceed on the chat.
Okay.
Yes, 18B. You may start.
Am I audible properly?
Yes. You're audible.
Okay. So should I start?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Good evening, one and all. So today I am here to discuss about. Today we all are here to discuss about the topic nepotism is a bedrock of social existence. Is it true or not? So basically, what is nepotism? many of my previous speakers have stated that nepotism is bad, good, or nepotism is favoring our loved ones over the competent ones. But basically, if we go on looking at the definitions of nepotism, we 90% of the times it is just favoring of relatives over the competent ones. And basically the highlight of the definition is over the competent ones, and the favoring of relatives, not the friends, loved ones, and everyone. So often we might forget the difference between nepotism and favoritism. Favoritism is a broader term, and it has been practiced over the years. But nepotism is a particular term of it, which states that favoring of relatives. So some of them might say that farmer's son was doing farming till the date. So is that an example of nepotism? So tell me one thing: is it that the farmer has appointed his son for a job, for a particular job, or for a particular work to do that, and he has, restricted other competent ones? So no. So far till the date, there were many arguments that king of son was the king. Hereditary king amongst all the kingdoms, and 90% of the kingdoms for that matter. But let's take Indian example. The Peshwas, in Maratha culture, we know the Peshwas. So were they direct descendants of our Shivaji Maharaj, Sambhaji Maharaj, and that family? They were nowhere in that family. They were what can we say? They were for that matter, they were just a person in their ruling area who was competent enough, and the kings realized that, and they favored him, and they we can in fact say boldly that they favored the Peshwas over their other descendants. And we know the history that how Peshwas have been, Maratha culture was going somewhere down before the Peshwas came forward. So, and another example from Peshwa culture we can take, when the nepotism was strictly followed, that only the descendants were appointed, then we know that what happened for Bajirao II and what he has done for the Maratha culture. So we cannot say that nepotism was always followed strictly. And one more thing is, what is the origin of nepotism, or what is the when was it really started? So nepotism was started when popes started appointing their nephews, and the word nepotism also came from that point of view, or that incidence. But we when we look back at it, the next popes, or what can we say, the descendants of the pope have rejected the policy at that point also. One more thing is many people say that inheritance of wealth, or inheritance of our wealth to our offspring has been a part of nepotism. But if we say that inheritance of wealth is a part of nepotism, then we should also say that inheritance of our biological genes or biological characters, or theory of dual inheritance, which states that not only our genes but also our acquired characteristics, like singing or other characteristics, that also we can consider as nepotism, as we pass on that characters also to our offspring. But no, that isn't a nepotism. Next thing is, right, so theory of natural selection, what does it say? It says that the one who is survival of the fittest, the one who is fit amongst all, not the one who is son or who is daughter of the fittest of all. The one who is itself fittest of all is only the one who can continue to survive. So even if,
You
as
have
I
2
said,
minutes left.
yeah. So even if, as I said, that we appoint our offsprings, or we appoint our relatives over the other competent ones. There are examples in the history which state that they cannot continue to be in that position, or they cannot rule over the other competent ones. My friend has already given an example of Babur and Humayun. So that also states the same. Or in fact, we can say Chandragupta Maurya. So he wasn't the direct dissenter, or he wasn't the one who was going to be appointed as a king, but he fought for it and he was succeeded. So there are many examples which state that nepotism was somewhere hidden in the social norms, but it wasn't always favored and it wasn't always supported by all. So for a bedrock of, for something to be bedrock of the society, like patronism, it it was a bedrock of society, but it was favored by all the culture who were supporting and who were favoring it. But nepotism, in the contrary, wasn't favored by all, was uh, was a practice used to be followed by some higher authorities, but was rejected by many people, and hence wasn't a bedrock completely. Also, an example I would like to give, the in ancient history or in mythology, we know the story of Ayati and his son Puru. So Puru wasn't the elder son, or what can we say, the official descendant to be king, but Puru was, in the contrary, was competent and was qualified enough. So Ayati gave him a chance. So I guess bedrock, to be a bedrock, nepotism wasn't that rooted in the society. Also, why are we
Your time
discussing
is up.
nepotism? Yeah, 10 seconds. Also, why are we discussing nepotism right now only? There were many discussions, topics of discussion, but we are discussing nepotism right now. Why is it? Because of some case and some current topic going on. So another example, nepotism in Bollywood, we are saying right now it is going on, and it has been there. But Bachchan has already entered this Bollywood when there were RK industry going on. Like they had the culture of nepotism, but Bachchan has, still we know that who is the king of Bollywood. We say Bachchan only. So there are examples. I think nepotism is trained right now and in Bollywood, and we are discussing it too much extensively. So we are linking it to many aspects of the social aspects, and we are only rooting it to the history, and it
Kindly
wasn't better.
conclude.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, 18B. Just a note of caution to all the participants. Since the time limit is 7 minutes, and a lot of teams have, asked exceed for 10 seconds or anything. So at the discretion of judges, exceeding 7 minutes may amount to negative marking.
Okay, noted.
Angha ma'am and Rupa ma'am,